Between the two of them. The inside of Coates. Parker gets too heavily involved. And that's Whitehead and Coates.
Hello and welcome to tonight. Here we're at Monza for round 4 of the Virtual Reality Racing Club. I'm Dave Marshall and co-comms tonight is Dan Andover. Although if I say that, if he jumps on, I will not be doing lead comms. So yeah, tonight basically it's a rerun from the previous week. Last week we had a few tech gremlins and a few server issues. So we're rerunning tonight and hopefully it'll be as hectic as it was last week. Do you agree, Dan? If you're there,
I do. Apologies, I'm not too sure what happened there. Everything decided to just cut out for a second. Then I've no idea what happened. What a time to do it, eh?
Yeah, that was a bit under the bus. That was. I wasn't expecting that.
Sorry, Dave. Apologies. Yes, sorry. It's going to be great. Like I said, take 2. It's going to be really, really good fun. I mean, to be fair, the action that we saw yesterday, the action that we saw last week, I'm properly buzzing for what's going to be. Of what's going to be happening this week, because we've also got a sneak preview, I suppose, haven't we, Dave?
We have, and if last week's action's anything to go by, we're in for a right treat here. It was reasonably clean, the racing was extremely frantic, and the push to pass basically made it absolutely impossible to read what was going to happen.
They did, because I think that was one of the things we were talking about. We saw a little bit of it at Laguna Seca, but I think this is where it really came to its own, because we were talking, wasn't it about maybe like 15, 20 kilometers an hour more just with a tow, and that's excluding the push to pass. So there were so many different forms of tactics there, which was absolutely fantastic to see for us, and obviously for the viewers as well. We had some great people watching. We had a lot of really good engagement. It was fantastic. But yeah, I mean, Monza, we spoke about it last week. It's got a bit of everything. It's got slow speed, medium speed, fast speed corners. And I actually think that these cars pretty much suit it perfectly.
Yeah, I would agree. To me, this track, let's face it, it's majority made up of 2 really big straights, or even 3 if you class the back section. So 3 really big straights mixed together with a few chicanes, a few fast speed corners. But these cars really come into their own when you get them long enough straights, when you can use that push to pass, and you're not just all reliant on that slipstream. So, yeah, a fantastic track for these cars. Probably the best of the season, I would have said.
I tell you what, I would agree with you. I really would agree with you. We're just gone away, literally just panned to qualifying, as you can see in the screen. It's almost, I know, obviously, making the best of a bad situation that day, but I actually quite having that sort of sneak preview, because we actually know who's sort of on the cars. We know who was quick last time. We know who was. I mean, to be fair, I think one of the people that we need to mention straight off the bat is Will Fairclough. What a performance that he was doing from last round.
Yeah, Will Fairclough had a really strong round last time out. But you know what? I've been looking at the practice board and he hasn't laid off the practice. He's kept on it and he's gone even faster still. So Will's definitely going to be a one to watch for tonight. There's other drivers that maybe didn't perform necessarily how they wanted to last time out. And then we've gone, you know what, we need to find a bit more here. And they've come out and they've also done the same. Really look forward to seeing who's going to be on the top block today.
And well, I mean, to be fair, following on from that point, we really don't know, do we? Because, I mean, we almost thought, I think, we had a few issues actually, because normally what happens to the racing, it turns out once the timer ticks down to 0, there's normally one more lap. Unfortunately, we didn't actually have that last time out due to a couple of server issues. So we could have even seen, because I think a couple of people actually had a couple of push to passes in hand for that all-important last lap, because they were so close. One of the things we also spoke about is the toe that you can travel down. We were seeing a lot closer gaps, especially with the top cut. It was very, very hard and more so the people at the front. So I believe it was Jordan Brennan was leading the first race quite well for majority of it. When you're put in a position then, when you're sitting out right at the front, it's very, very difficult to try and break a gap, because the people behind you, as long as they can sit within that sort of like 7-8 tenths of a second, I mean, they're in a position where they can just sort of sit behind and pull. You can pull them along. So it's almost being second or third is probably the best I'd probably say in terms of Monza. Yeah,
I would agree on the whole. To be fair, Jordan Brennan was an extremely good driver last week, very calculated and fully deserved the win, and managed to hold Max Edmondson, even though from what I remember, you might correct me here, Dan, I believe Max and the driver behind him both used all the push to passes, but Jordan finished with still 2 in hand. So, he really managed that gap very well towards the end of the race. And, money on it, I'm going to put my neck on the line. See, I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan Brennan, shows himself as being the strongest driver in the grid again today.
Yeah, to be fair, I believe it was Max. I think it was Edmondson that ran out of his push to passes, but I think Brennan obviously had 2. Can't remember who was in third place, but I think he had 1 as well. But I think it was Max that used all of them up, so it was very touch and go. So it was almost like a bit of a bit of a godsend that he actually excuse me. Bit of a godsend that he actually had that one less lap. So yeah, I think sort of being put in a position. Again, we don't know. This is what we're talking about. We're talking all these different scenarios, and we spoke about it again. Like, it could be just a million different ways and a million different things, a million different scenarios that can happen. And the one that actually happens is completely the one that we don't actually think about.
Yeah, I just looked there. Rob Butler's put a lap time in, a 1:59.1. Now, I believe that is one of the fastest lap times, even with push to pass. So I don't quite know what's happened there, but he has managed to find extreme pace, and he must have been basically towed the whole lap, I would have thought, to do that. Jordan Brennan pulled himself up into second place, as we probably expected, rapidly fast without the push to pass on. Robbie Stiltford there, third place. Yet again, what we saw last week, incredibly close.
It is indeed. It's very, very close indeed. I was actually having a look. I'm a little bit interested to see, because we had obviously Dan Zelos, who it was his first round at Laguna Seca. Obviously, this was his first championship, second time out. I suppose it's actually third time out, the second round in the championship. He had a really good last round. He was really sort of working his way through the field. I didn't see the pace I think that we would have seen in qualifying from him last time out, but race pace, he was just absolutely on one, which was really, really good. And obviously, when you actually look at it, it was a very, very strong performance from him. We've got Andy Carroll currently on board, as it were. You can see in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, just under 9 minutes to go. And yeah, Rob Butler is currently away with it at the moment. Jack McIntyre, look at that, just gone in fourth place to 0.6. I said that he's just dropped down to fifth, and Max Edmondson now in fourth, taking that spot away from Jack McIntyre. We spoke about this, didn't we, as well? We've been speaking of, I think, in Laguna Seca also. Is Jack McIntyre, this isn't actually his car that he normally drives. This isn't the one he prefers the most, is it? But we're still seeing some mega performance from it. Yeah,
exactly that. The thing with Jack is, no matter what car he's in, whether he agrees with it or not, he's a consistent performer. You can't argue with that, He jumps in a car, and he's normally a front five runner, as we see, fifth place on the grid. So, yeah, if I'm honest, no surprise for me. I'm just having a message there with Rob Butler suggesting that there's an error with the car. So, are we seeing a real-life tech gremlin here with the car, suggesting his car's stuck in push to pass? So, that's an interesting tech gremlin there, but we'll definitely have a talk with him in the interview, looking like he's going to be Paul. But I was going to also touch on Luke Weston down in 10th place. We had a session with him earlier on in the week, and he said, I'm just not quite clicking with the car, Dave. It's not quite fair and natural. And then straight away, a setup on different gears in certain corners, and there we are, straight away 10th place already, right in the pack to move forward.
Absolutely, yeah, interesting. I wonder, as you say, so provisionally, it could be obviously Rob Butler provisionally pole. Potentially, though, depending how it goes, actual pole, if he has got some technical gremlins, is Rob Walters, who is the man currently in the top step with, at the moment, the person we think, without any technical gremlin issues. I mean, to be fair, looking how close these times are, that would make sense. You've got 600ths of a second. Just over half a tenth of a second between Walters and Brennan, and then again half a second, maybe 600ths of a second between Brennan and Stapleford. So we're seeing again less than a tenth. Oh, look at that! Jack McIntyre has now decided he wants fifth place back from Max Edmondson. So this is getting very. Look how close he is. That's what, 6,000ths of a second. Actually, I'm thinking between. Yeah. That's just insane.
Yeah, it is incredibly tight, isn't it? I mean, obviously, Rob has gone a second up the road. And we're just discussing in the background here of what we're going to suggest to try and do with that. But at the end of the day, even with push to pass, a 1:59.1 is an incredibly good lap time. But yeah, it's going to be frantic at the start with lap times that close.
It is, absolutely. We've got 6 minutes left to qualifying. Well, Fairclough, though, he's not wearing his winner's cap.
So he isn't.
He isn't. Interesting. I have to send him a message, Jack. Dave, we have to send him a message saying he needs to put his winner's cap on, because that has brought him luck last round, I think. To be fair, he was moving through the field and he was doing very, very well indeed. Andy Carroll in P10 currently, with Luke Weston just over a tenth behind. Again, we saw some really good race pace from Luke Weston last time out. So I'm sure we're going to see the same again. I still can't get over how close it is. Look at that. You've got the top 11 separated by 0.2 by 2 seconds. Andreas Rillig has now gone into P7. That is just under 0.2 away from Max Emerson in P6. We also spoke as well, and this is one of the, obviously the traits with Monza, is the times that are actually here. You look at 0.2, 0.3. I mean, that's what, half a car length in terms of actual track, in terms of distance? If that exactly. Yeah. And so you don't need to be of the pace of so close to the other drivers to be in a position where you're still going to be fighting. It's one of the traits of Monza. One of the traits of like Le Mans is also another one that's quite notorious for it as well. So I think we're going to be seeing similar to what we had last race. There's just going to be trains of cars, providing there's no real sort of like aggressive battling going on, which I'm hoping people will actually do as well. This is one of the things that people have got to work together. We saw that a bit last week, we saw it a bit last round and last week. We need to see it again if drivers want to make sure that they can gain those as many positions as they can. So it's going to be a frantic finish to the end normally.
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly frantic. I mean, if I'm honest, Dan, I cannot wait until we can get the chicane out the way for turn 1 and see what the pace is like in the race, because with times that close, I know last week they were close, but they're even closer again this week, and I presume that must be down to an extra week's worth of practice. But yeah, we've definitely got drivers who were slightly further down the grid last week, really mixing it with some of the big boys this week.
Yes, indeed. Like I said, times are even closer, which is going to hopefully promote even closer racing. We actually had a really clean first lap last. I mean, that was one of the things that I was. Turn 1 Monza is always tricky. It's always the nail biting stuff. But for a commentator, driver, spectator, regardless, it's always something that you've got to be so cautious of. We actually had a really clean start the last race. I'm hoping we do see the same again, because like I said, you want everyone to be battling, you want everyone to be close. So there's going to be some concertinaing, absolutely, there always is at the start of the races, but you still got to make sure that it's one of those ones. I know, Dave, I think you said last week that you were happy to be probably that little bit more sort of aggressive initially to try and make those positions, whereas I was a bit more reserved. I was looking to be maybe a little bit more reserved. So we're probably going to see obviously those differences in driving style. So people are going to be wanting to make up positions at the start, but would that potentially be the safest, or I suppose the safest bet to make?
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right in what you say. I think I tend to be a bit more, let's say, of a calculated, aggressive driver. If the move's there, I'll put my nose there. And it's one of them things where if you're not aggressive enough with that move, it leaves the driver you're trying to overtake in doubt whether you're actually going for it or not. So you need to find that sort of sweet spot between, this is my corner, I'm going for it, leave me room, and a full-on dive bomb and wipe them out. It's that sort of calculated approach that it takes a good few races to sort of build that sort of confidence up in how much of a car to show to allow the driver to know you're making that move, but not enough that you either take him or he tries to close the door. And obviously, a lot of these drivers compete in championships with the same guys in other cars, other tracks, and you build up that sort of relationship with the other drivers on the grid, and you can sort of read them a little bit. You sort of know what they're going to do and what the traits are, and having that knowledge is really important for racecraft.
I think assertive is the word.
Assertive is a great word for it.
It isn't it? Because I always find that aggressive. Look at that, Lewis. I mean, Lewis Brown, he's going to get a mega. He's in P2 all of a sudden, and he's now just going. He got a massive tile for Dan Zelos, so he's got, and that is going to be a stonker of a first turn. He's going to carry a lot of speed going through. The thing is as well is, can you actually maintain it? You've got to be careful. This is always one of the things you've got to be careful, is the overspeed carrying into corner. If you've got that much toe and that much draft down going into turn 1, you've got to make sure that you pull that braking point back. We're going to see some second times in a second. Wonder if he's going to improve on that time. Not entirely sure. Look at that, Kenny Press. Currently in P15. Look at that. Look at the gap between Press and Sutton. It's still only 1200th of a second. So it doesn't matter where you are through the field. There's still so amazing. But look at Fairclough and Dorman's. The gap's 6,000ths of a second. I can't. This is going to be so. I think this is going to be more action-packed than last week. I really think it is.
I just really hope for a good, clean start, because if these drivers can get through that first chicane with times this close, it's going to be phenomenal to watch. It could also end up where this just ends up in a car park in turn 1, and then a safety car will have to come out. We hope not, but in real life, how many times have we seen it done?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I think that's a question that does not need answering. It's one of the most infamous corners. You've just got to be so careful. But if drivers are, and I'm hoping, like I said, these guys all know. They all know each other, like you said. They all know each other. They all know how they all race, and the respect is there, I think, which is also a really, really good thing. We've seen that before. We've seen it, numerous times. Something happens, drivers do let other people by, and so on and so forth. So there is the respect there, and we're going to obviously see that, and we have seen it. That is portrayed within the racing that we do have.
And there he is, our poor man, Rob Butler. To be fair, I've been looking at his lap times, and even with the push to pass sort of stuck on, he's only lapping sort of maybe 0.8 of a second faster than what we've seen him in his previous practice without it stuck on. So whether or not this is actually going to be a worry for him going into the race, knowing that the push to passes will be then only 15 in the race, Lewis Brown is going to be really on his tail at the start of this race.
Well, it is indeed. And like I said, so we've had Butler finish, Brown's finish. We've got Brennan, Walters, McIntyre, Stapleford, and they're all still on a lap, bear in mind. So this could all change. Whether we're going to see that 1.1 seconds, obviously not because of the technical gremlins that Butler does have, but we still could see some movement within the other positions. We've got Stapleford, he's just pitted, as well as obviously Brown is in the pits. We've got Dorman's finished. Who else is going to be coming across the line? So Brennan's still yet to finish, so Walters and McIntyre. Edmondson, we've got Andreas Rillig, who is still going to come through. He is on his fun lap, just coming out of Parabolica for the last time in the great looking car. Actually, I keep forgetting how good these cars look. Is he going to prove on his time? Currently 2 point. He does. He proves 3/10. Moves up past Max Edmondson, although Max is still on a lap. So, is he going to be improving? Look at that, Jack McIntyre. He is just gone through the Ascari chicanes for the final time in qualifying. He's got one more corner to go. He hasn't got a toe. I'm trying to think who that is in front of him. That could be, that's Max Edmondson. So he's obviously going to go through the Parabolica one last time. He's got less than a tenth to make up to Andreas Rillig. Is he going to do it? I'm not entirely sure. We're going to find out in about 200 meters time. And then obviously we've got Jack McIntyre to find out as well. But Max Emerson he started in the pit, so he's thought, no, thank you. He's going to crack on. Is Jack McIntyre going to improve? And he does, but I mean about 200ths off of, in literally exactly 200ths of a second off Jordan Brennan. Speaking of which, Jordan Brennan, he's still on track. He's still actually got one more lap to go. I mean, I don't know, is he going to improve? He's got 100ths of a second. He's got 100 of a second, but I think he's backed off.
I believe what we're seeing here, though, is second to fifth separated by less than half a tenth. Half a tenth in qualifying. I mean, if you saw that as a visualization, it would be such a small margin, but this is going to lead for some epic racing if we can have it clean from the start. It
is indeed. It absolutely is indeed. And yeah, I'm very, very excited. I'm very excited. I think we will have in but a few moments' time. I believe we're going to be speaking to Mr. Butler, who is on pole or provisional pole. But here are your standings. We have Rob Butler, I said provisional pole. Lewis Brown second, cracking performance from him. Robbie Walters third, Brennan fourth, McIntyre fifth, Stapleford sixth, Andreas Riddick seventh, Max Edmondson in P8, Will Fairclough another good performance from him in P9, Andy Dorman 10th, Carroll 11th, Luke Weston 12th, Dan Zelos in 13th, Kenny Press 14th, Sutton 15th, and that is actually currently your provisional lineup. I believe, Dave, we do have Rob Butler in the pits if you want to go have a chat with him.
Yeah, I'll go down and have a chat.
Lovely stuff.
So we go down our interview, and I think that car definitely won't be going through the scrutiny a bit, will it, Rob?
Look, I don't know. Is that 10/10 driver coaching before quali, Dave, was the
sweet spot?
I don't know. We definitely found the sweet spot in the map for quali. Absolutely, it couldn't have happened at a better track all season. No, look, there was clearly a glitch with the car. My practice pace at the end of practice was quite good. I did a 2:01, so it's as annoying as it is for everybody else. You know, I really wanted, to be honest, have a fair run at pole. I thought it could definitely be in the top three, but yeah, 1.1 seconds up the road. If it sticks like that for the race, we'll be quite all right.
Yeah, well, to be fair, you messaged me straight away and said, listen, Dave, I've got a tech issue with the car. Basically, turbo stuck on giving us an extra 50 brake. It's something that we can't change. It happens, but it's fair honest of you to say it. We both looked at the time when you posted it, and it was like, blinking it, that's rather quick. But yeah, fair play for putting it on pole. You still had to do the lap, but Lewis Brown's there with a similar sort of time to what you were doing without push to pass. So Lewis and Jordan are definitely going to be hot on your heels going into turn one, aren't they?
Absolutely. Like there's hot on my heels is an understatement. Dave, as you well know from race against these guys, it'll be a good race. It's I don't know. I've mixed emotions about qualifying. I feel like it doesn't feel right, but it is what it is. So I probably would have been in the top 3 or 4 anyway. So I'll take pole today and let's see what happens in the race. I don't know what the race pace is like. I don't even know how much fuel to put in. Any tips?
I don't have many, but maybe if you jump straight back to park firm, you might have to chat with someone to try and find out how many litres to put in. But good luck for the race, Rob. Looking at the times, it is going to be incredibly close. So yeah, I'll speak to you shortly.
It's slipstream heaven, isn't it?
It is indeed. Speak to you shortly, Bob.
Yeah.
There we go, Dan. Oh, honest bloke, he turned around and told me he had the tech issue that gave him the advantage. He didn't need to say that, but he has. He's dug himself his own hole, but the pressure he is going to feel, going into turn one with Lewis, Jordan Brennan and Robin Walters all behind him on the similar lap time. I wouldn't like to be in his shoes.
No, I wouldn't. Like you said, he honest but confident. I think as well is the good way to put it. Honest but confident. Like he knows his pace. He knows what. I mean, may not necessarily know how much fuel to put in the car, but that's by the by. In terms of like I said, he knows what he needs to do. We're going to find out in a moment who's actually going to be out on top and who's going to be going through it, leading into turn one. But normally you have a bit of a prediction on who's going to be sort of there or thereabouts. Unfortunately, we don't know, but we're going to find out just in a moment. Lights are on and away we go. Who's going to get the jump? Who's going to use push to pass? Who isn't going to use push to pass? This is going to be the all-important question running into turn one. Seems to be a relatively even start. No one's really sort of pushed to pass at the moment. Butler is still in the lead at this moment by about 0.3 of a second. So I wonder if he has used, you can actually see that he's used the push to pass, but the 3 guys behind him haven't. So Butler is still driving away Luke Brown. He's pulled up a bit of a gap. That seems to be a couple of people. McIntyre's lost out. Andreas Rillig has lost out. Dan Zelos, Dorman has lost out as well. You can see him dropping down the timings. You can see in the bottom right corner of your screen, there's a couple of people off. You can't quite see, but you can definitely tell one of them is Dorman. But look at Rob Butler. He has just disappeared. All side-by-side action. That is going to be Brennan and Walter's going to go through side-by-side into turn 2. They decide against it. And Brennan does take and go into P3. But look at the train going through. Again, a relatively clean turn 1. They've concertinaed up, but not too much. They've actually sort of broken away. Oh, that's going to be some defensive driving from Luke Brown. He's going to have to try and take the defensive line. I'm surprised. These guys are just letting Rob Butler sort of drive away. And they don't want to, because again, they need to make sure they try and keep some form of toe, because, I mean, especially Luke Brown, he's going to be losing out big time. The gap is now 0.5 of a second though, so it has come about. So I don't really think there's going to be too much to worry about. But Brennan's not giving up. He's going to want to go over the outside going to discourage gets. Oh my goodness, is Brennan going to do it? He's up into second. You see on the timing tower. Is he going to make? I think he has indeed used another push to pass. So he is being very, very aggressive with his push to pass. He's already used 2 of them. Oh no, that's Rob Butler that's gone wide. Rob Butler's gone wide. Everyone's gone wide, actually, to be fair. Oh no. That's not good at all. Look at that, Brennan. Oh dear, that's going to be a safety car. I imagine Dave will be jumping through. That's going to be a safety car, almost 100%. Because that was not good at all. I'm not too sure what happened. Looked potentially as if Brennan maybe, as we see, safety car deployed. That was almost going to be a given. Wow. It almost looked, I think, as if Brennan may have lost it on his own accord. Luke maybe didn't react quite as quickly or couldn't react quick enough. But Robin Walters, again, losing out. That was just absolutely... That happened all so fast. We're going to hear from Dave in a second, obviously, when he comes back. So I believe this may actually be one of those virtual safety cars. We had this a bit in Laguna Seca. It worked really quite well. We've had this in the previous sort of League of Champions also as well. We had it at Spa. Very, very good way to do it. As you can see, that weaving furiously is one of the things you've got to do. You've got to make sure that you can keep some warmth in the tyres, as Butler and all of them are furiously. This is going to back the pack up, though. So the pack is being backed up. It's going to give people that had a bit of a moment, obviously Jordan Brennan, car looking very worse for wear. So he's going. Dan Zelos, though, he's up into P6, so he's done really well. Jack McIntyre's back up to 4. He was 7th at one point last time I checked, and he's now back up into P4. Edmondson's done really well. He's into P3. I'm just trying to think who else has lost out. Paul Laramie, he's up in P12, so he's sort of gained quite a fair bit through that as well. But yeah, Brennan lost out big time through there, and with a car that is looking very much worse for wear, I don't know how much pace he's going to have, because that's the aero. It's going to have aero damage as well. Any aero damage that can happen, you just got to be a little bit careful, because that's going to hurt him big time now going through. He's got to stay probably within maybe half a second of the people in front, otherwise he is going to start dropping back. I'm looking at the pace these guys are going on their outlap, and they're going at a pretty fair old lick. Obviously, the safety car is still technically out. This virtual safety car is still out, and I can imagine it will be up until the lights, until the start-finish line. All seems to have backed up a little bit. Yeah, look for that last couple of corners. Really quite quick. All the guys were, again, I mentioned just trying to keep some heat into the tyres. What you'll find as well, there's two things. Obviously, the weaving of the car, trying to get the car from side to side, generate some heat in the lateral movement. That obviously helps. One thing these drivers might be doing as well is almost riding the brake. And trying to ride the brake, I think we're actually just being told as well that potentially we've got Dave Marshall's face on the top of Rob Butler's car. And to be fair, that may actually be, we've just been told from Mike out in the broadcast booth, I believe it could actually be. Not entirely sure. We might ask Dave. I think Dave has just popped back after his sorting out of the safety car box. But I think that's Rob Butler already gone. Look at the gap. So he is just... I mean, to be fair, that's completely legal. I suppose, as long as he was given the all clear to go when he wanted to, he was absolutely able to. He is just absolutely gone in the distance. So look at that, Rob Butler already pulled nearly a second on Brown, Edmondson, McIntyre, who are about and following this train of 5 or 6 cars. Or there's going to be, Rob Butler's going to go for the inside. That's not Rob Butler, that's Max Edmondson's going to go for the inside of Luke Brown. The move is going to be made. You can see on the timing tower, it has been made, done and dusted. So Max Emerson has used one of his push to passes. No, but like I said, I was talking about the overspeed. He's carried too much overspeed. He's going to have to give that position back. He must have to give that position back because he gained an advantage. Wow, that was such a thing you've got to be so careful of. You cannot afford to take that overspeed. You've got to make sure you're braking earlier, because otherwise things like that are going to happen, and you are going to be, exactly as we saw with Emerson, going to be running wide into turn 1. That is Dan Zelos, and that is Will Fairclough. They're going to go side by side into the second chicane. Are they going to make it stick? Oh dear, this is not going to go out of the position, but neither is Will Fairclough. They're still door bagging, but Dan Zelos comes out on top for that particular one. Who on earth was that? Was Andy Carroll. That was the best I've ever seen. One of the best I've ever seen in my life. Fair play. That was going to go completely. He saved that. Fair enough. Boot full of power. Get the front wheel spinning up, and he pulls the car straight. I believe we do have Dave back. Dave, are you there?
Yeah. Do you want a bit of a breath now, Dan?
I do. Yeah. Can you crack on? Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, that was a bit frantic, wasn't it? Yeah, I'll be truly honest. It was quite late to deploy the safety car and I couldn't get to the end of the pit lane quick enough. So we had to deploy a virtual safety car, hence why the pace was maybe a little bit quicker. But yeah, there was quite a lot of a collision there mid-pack. So right thing to do is bring the safety car up and try and bunch everyone back together before the restart. So yeah, but on the whole, a relatively clean getaway, I believe that.
To be fair, it was actually. I mean, the restart, Rob Butler just sort of like checked up and off he went. As I'm going to interrupt myself, I thought it was going to go 2x2 going through into Parabolica, but actually, to be fair, it might be going 2x2. Oh, this is going to be close to the apparently Will Fairclough is at the moment. He's the person. No, oh, that was Dan Zelos. No, that was Dan Zelos that had a bit of contact with Will Fairclough. I don't know what happened. It looked to be, obviously, Dan Zelos was on the inside. Look at what that was. Wow. Okay. Oh, nearly 3 wide. Going to go through down the start finish line. Careful, chaps. You've still got 13 minutes left of this race, so you've got to be nice and easy. You can see the frustration from Will Fairclough there. Frustration, the shake of the head, the infamous shake of the head that we all have been in that situation at some point. Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit too hard to call on that particular replay, but it almost seemed potentially. I don't know, Dave. That I don't know. Maybe I think maybe Dan was potentially sort of up the inside, but again was just a little bit. Not too far up. I'm not too sure. It's very hard to tell from that camera angle.
Yeah, a very, very hard camera angle to tell what actually happened there. But I believe, I'm putting my neck on the block here, I think, as we see, 3 wide going into the chicane. Luckily, one of the cars backed out. I believe that was Jack Mark. Max Edmondson going to try and brave around the inside. Watch Jack Mark on the inside to get 2 in 1. I believe Jack Mark might have that move done going up into this right-hander. There you go, Dan. Through the chicane. Gain 2 positions, but actually Max Edmondson might be having a look on the inside, going onto the back straight.
Oh, that was close. How those guys didn't hit. Oh, that was very, very close indeed. I mean, To be fair, literally that was honestly what a amazing move from Jack Mack. He knew exactly what to do. You saw him back off pretty heavily before the corner, before the second chicane. He knew exactly what he needed to do as Max Emerson's going to try and go around the outside, going through into a scurry chicane. Oh, they're side by side. That's not going to work. Jensen didn't work the first time. How is it going to work this time? No, it doesn't work. Wow. Oh my dear, and we've just had a complete role reversal, and look at now, that is Max Emerson that's just over, that's Brown that's overtaken now. Edmondson and McIntyre. Well, that was a complete role reversal, but I was going to say, a very, very well-timed move from Jack McIntyre then. That was absolutely, we've just seen as well, we can just see in the back of his shot, Jordan Brennan's had another bit of a moment, so his car is going to go, his day's going from bad to worse. But yeah, like I said, Jack McIntyre, perfectly timed there. He knew exactly what was going to happen. He knew too wide, and then oh no, that was Kenny Press. Not too sure what happened there, but Kenny Press has now gone off. Bit of side-by-side action with Laramie there, and it doesn't fare well, and Kenny Press is the one that does lose out. And obviously, Laramie has now been promoted, obviously, to P11, not the way he would have wanted, but side-by-side... Oh, no, this isn't going to go through wide. Potentially, oh, dear. Taps, you've got to calm down because you've still got 11 minutes of this race, and it's not going to end with anyone left if this keeps happening. I know door-to-door rubbing is obviously with touring cars, and that's what we like. But at the same time, they're doing about 130 mile an hour going down to a heavy braking zone for Monza Turn 1. Probably not the space where you want contact, though.
No, I mean, that was incredibly frantic. You know, we often say, you know, we're virtual racing. It's quite hard to gauge contact because obviously in the real life, bumpers flex. If you hit a car, I'm not saying a car's soft to hit, but you have a little bit of forgiveness. These obviously, they don't have the forgiveness, so any sort of slight contact looks quite dramatic on screen. You know, I mean, going into here, 3 cars into one corner never normally works, but all these drivers are staying on track. It is incredibly hard racing, but I tell you what, I'm on the edge of my seat, Dan. I can't not watch this.
I know, same here. So I mean, this battle is now extended to 6 cars. This is the battle for B2, and it's pretty much makes no difference. 6 cars long. We've also got a couple of people behind as well. So you got like Luke Weston and Will Fairclough that are going to be trying to get on the action as well. Or a bit of side action again. That's Luke Brown and Max Emerson. Is the move going to be made? I think it is. Yes. So look at that. Brown has now got past Edmondson. He's now going to be on the charge going through into McIntyre. That corner cutting as well that you can see that's completely okay. That is completely normal and it's completely allowed. We are allowing people to do that. We spoke about that last week because I wasn't entirely sure, but obviously Dave clarified that very, very soon for me. Jack McIntyre, he's broken this gap actually. I was saying it was a 6-car battle. It's now a 5-car battle for P3, not a 6-car battle for P2 because Jack has gone off into the distance and the gap is now 1.1 seconds. He's still not out of the tow window. He hasn't got anyone behind, but look at this train. It's just one big car. That's all it is. It's just a big long Audi TT.
That's one way to put it, Dan, with a zebra in the middle, dare we say.
Oh, look at that. Oh, we're going to go 2x2, potentially Noah Arkstyle going to go through into turn 1. I don't know, but Zelos was going to try and have a look into turn 1. There was never going to be a move there, but he tried to make it. He tried to have a gander anyway. Bit of contact again. That's completely okay. That little bit of touching is completely normal. That's completely fine. That is touring car-esque. That's exactly what it's exactly what we expect to see, and exactly, it's completely okay. But look at Jack. Look at the gap. 1.7 seconds now is the gap to McIntyre to Emerson. So Jack McIntyre has just checked out at this point. It's just gone, you crack on, guys. And I mean, to be fair, he's just exactly what he needs to do. Oh no, that was so deep. How are these guys saving these saves? That's just incredible. So we had, that looked to be Max Edmondson, sorry, not Max Edmondson. That was Lewis Brown that went way too deep into the second chicane. He's managed to sort of, I mean, to be fair, I suppose, best of a bad situation. He made contact with Edmondson. To be fair, I think Edmondson was actually, lucky. Obviously, great car control, but an element of luck to that as well. The car just straight up exactly where it needed to go and hit the I suppose it hit the sausage curb at the right sort of point, so we didn't lose too much time. But, man, these guys are saving some incredible saves we have seen. And again, some more side-by-side action from Zelos and Edmondson. They do not want to give up either position, but at the moment it is still Edmondson that is out on top of this particular battle. But yeah, the more and more these guys battle, and the more cars are going to get involved. I mean, you've got, what's that, Will Fairclough that's probably at the back of this train now, I'd say, that's still probably like a 5-car battle for a podium position, which is still like pretty insane. You've got the top 8 cars, or you've got 4 or 5 cars all the way down to 8, potentially fighting for like a top 4, which is still just insane. And this is what I love about some of the racing that Monza can throw up.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, this push to pass is basically mean it's not giving any of the drivers a chance to even breathe. you know, every single straight these drivers get on, the next driver behind you just push to pass, and we get this exact thing. Dan Zelos is now going for a move back on Lewis Brown. So, I mean, it's great to see. You know, I believe Dan Zelos only qualified down in 11th or 12th place, I believe, Dan, and he's found his way up into provisionally P4.
He has indeed. Cracking move there going through. To be fair as well, Lewis Brown knew not to really attack that position too much. Let the move happen and try and gain the position back at a later date. But we've got here, this is Luke Weston, just going to literally got front row seats to the battle between Carroll and Fairclough. I wonder what's going to happen here. Is he going to do what Jack Mack did and just hold back and let these two fight it out? I don't think he is. No, he's going to want to make those positions as soon as he possibly can. Oh, that was a late lunge going through there. Oh, a bit of contact. That was always... Oh, no. That was racing instant. There was nothing that any of them could have done there. I think, to be fair, that was just three cars going into one corner. That was, you know, three cars at the same space. That was never going to happen. Unfortunately, it was Will Fairclough that did lose out. He has managed to get his car going again, but he's now just been pipped by Mick Sutton. So they're going to have a bit of a battle. So even though that's happened, Fairclough has still got some battling on his hands, which is nice. But yeah, I think that was just unfortunate that Fairclough was the one that lost out there.
It was. I mean, I think that was probably a case of the lead car running a little bit too deep. Second car then braked. It was just a bit of a chain reaction. Then by the time the third car arrived on the scene, you know, the middle car in the pack is running that slow. You can't really do anything about it, can you? So it's a really unfortunate scenario, but Will still found himself in 10th place, and the pace we've seen, he could be a real danger man to watch going into race 2.
Absolutely. Well, you think as well, we have got the reverse grid. Oh, this is a battle here. So we've actually seen Edmondson has actually taken Jack McIntyre. So I wonder if, I don't think Jack McIntyre's got any damage, but at the moment, Max Edmondson has got some mega pace on him. I wonder, are we going to see now? Are we going to see Jack McIntyre? Is he going to be sort of holding back? Because looking at the gap behind, you've got Dan Zelos, he's 2.2 seconds. I know he is actually battling himself, as we see Jack Mack on the screen. No, he's not going to wait. He is going to be trying to make that position. He wants P2, absolutely, rightly so. And the move is all done and dusted, even before we get to the first corner. Or, as I say that, no, Edmondson's going to try and make the move back, last late breakers, and it seems to be... I mean, to be fair, I didn't actually think Edmondson was going to get the car stopped there, but he manages to just about... Oh, you couldn't fit air between those cars. That's just so close. These guys are just... They must know. Do you reckon they've measured the exact dimensions, the exact width of these cars, and the length? They know them millimetre perfectly, don't they, Dave?
They're definitely driving that way, aren't they?
It's just...
I don't know whether you remember last race, actually, last week, we actually noticed first corner, Max Edmondson again. How the world he's got that stopped into there on the grass on exit. Jack Matt will be going for the undercut here. Max Edmondson's defended it though. I mean, I don't know whether was that a move Max meant to make there, but that was incredibly on the brakes.
It reminds me of, I can't think of it as well, it was a good few years ago, Daniel Ricciardo and Sebastian Vettel. I think it was when Ricciardo first got into Formula 1, he was in with Red Bull, and he made exactly going into the second chicane, he made remember the really almost unbelievably late lunge on Sebastian Vettel. And it was a move that happened, and I was like, nope, he's crashed, that's it, done and dusted, and he made the corner. It was like, hang on a minute, like, what just happened? Exactly the same thing there. And it was just... Yeah, Max Emerson, how he got the car stopped, he is stopping that car exactly where it needs to be, but he's now going to be, again, losing out because he's got no one ahead of him. And the gap has come down to, there's only 3 minutes left, or 3 minutes and 40 seconds left. The gap has come down, though. It was 2.2 seconds last time we checked. The gap from McIntyre to Dan Zelos is now 1.8 seconds. If these guys keep battling, it will come down even more. So let's not count Dan Zelos out of the woods yet. As we see, that was Lewis, that was Brown to go through on Andreas Rillig, but Rillig decides to turn around and go, nope, thank you very much. He's going to make that move, so he's now into he's holding P5 at the moment, but this is just allowing, this is allowing Dan Zelos to pull away from them. So I'm surprised. I'm genuinely surprised. Normally it's supposed to be like that last lap, like scrabble for positions if they're there. But look at that picture in picture. We've got two battles going on as we've just actually swapped cameras around. So this is now on the roof of Jack McIntyre. So role reversal. What's going to happen here? Is it going to be the same thing? Why, that was very, very close. It's going to be undercut. No, it isn't. So Max Edmondson just putting his car exactly where it needs to be. Wow, this is going to be so close. And I'm actually looking at the push to passes. How many push to passes have they got? I can't quite see. Is that Jack?
Max got 6, whereas Jack only has 4. So, you know, the push to pass game here, really, the roles need to be reversed for that push to pass to really, you know, be working in Jack's favour there, because otherwise, Max there was going to be in the front. As we see, is that Jack just runs slightly wide. Max needs to pounce on this if he wants to stay with Jack here, otherwise Jack might pull away up the road. But Max is going to go around the outside. On the outside of Jack, he's held it. into the right, going onto the back straight. I mean, this is too much action for me this time.
I literally can't keep up. How Max Evans is just finding grip where I didn't think grip was possible to be. He's just putting his car exactly where it is, and he's just feeling his way around the car, almost like, I suppose, almost like, this is going to be very high praise, almost like Senna-esque. You know, when he just finds grip where there doesn't seem to be grip there.
You've thrown the name in the box there, haven't you?
Look at it. but look at it. Look what he's able to do. Like, around the outside, going through into the first Lesmo. There should not be grip around the outside. There shouldn't be. And yet he's managed to find it enough. To be fair, this is not detracting away from Jack McIntyre because he's leaving enough room, exactly enough room, no more, no less. So as he's going to try and now come back on the inside of Max Emerson. But interestingly, Emerson didn't even bother fighting that then. And I'm guessing that's a bit of tactics because he knows that he's going to try and make the move. Pretty much a carbon copy of what Jack McIntyre did on the last lap. Although, again, it's just two cars become one. Look at the gap there. You could not fit anything in between those cars. And Max Emerson's already going to try and make the move. Push to pass has been activated. So this is where the advantage, obviously, is at the moment it's advantage Edmondson because, yes, he's got one more push to pass. That was how these guys are reading this. Oh, bit of one way, bit of another. That's a bit of an interesting move, Edmondson. He needs to be a little bit careful. I know that, obviously, weaving you've got to be a bit careful with the weaving. That probably wasn't on the massive amount of limit, but you've still got to be cautious. You don't want to be sort of like moving, especially under braking. That's a big no-no.
Yeah. I mean, Max did have a bit of a weave there from one side and then move back left for the braking zone. It would be down to the course, but normally you would say no weaving or no moving on the brakes. Well, at that point, they hadn't actually got on the brakes yet, so I believe that move there was legal by Max. But yeah, interesting tactics there. Max was really quick on the push to pass, but Jack actually held off and used the slipstream then to open up the option for a late move going towards the chicane. So it's definitely a move Max might have to be aware of, and Jack's got that in his arsenal now for the following lap.
Well, he has indeed, because look at that. Edmondson, he's used another push to pass, and now it's a role reversal. Look at McIntyre. So he's now got one more push to pass than Edmondson. So that's an interesting thing as well. He hasn't actually pulled up too much of a gap. I reckon, bear in mind, there's one more lap after this. There is one more lap. Rob Butler, again, just soared off into the distance. He's now 8.8 seconds up the road. We haven't had any screen time with him because he's not really done much. So at the end of the day, I know that Rob Butler obviously does love a bit of screen time as everyone else does, but he's just been running his own race exactly as he needs to. So fair play to him. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, look at the gap, and is that Jack Max? So he's using his another push to pass. So they're now both on three. Going to go into the final. They've both got three push to passes yet. I guarantee that both of them will be used going down the main straight if Jack McIntyre can actually use one. Max Edmonds has already jumped onto the back of his. A little bit too early, I think, for my liking. Maybe he's actually used that too early because that's going to run out way before the edge of the track. So McIntyre's already pulled into the slipstream. So all he needs to now is sit behind. He might even try and make another move back going through into turn one. And I think that might actually be it, as we're going to see that's going to be some defensive driving. Definitely Max Emerson, there's no way he can move over now because Jack McIntyre is already alongside him. Oh, who's going to be? That's it. Oh, he's going to try and do the cutback, isn't he? But Max Emerson parks it on the apex in turn one. Completely legal to do that as well. Wasn't doing it too much, but it was enough that he was really sort of like had to stop Jack McIntyre from having the cutback. So exactly the position that he needed to be. So I know we've sat with these guys for so many laps, but this is where this is such a close battle. These guys are giving absolutely enough room and no more, no less. Oh, we're going to go through no last late breakers. Edmondson, I think. Oh, I thought that was breaking too late. I thought he broke too late, and he still makes the corner. How is Max Emerson finding this grip?
I don't think Max will have any brake pads at the end of this session, that's for sure. Yeah, he must be using 2 feet on that brake pedal, I think. Yeah, this is a great racing here. We've got two drivers on the edge and the limit of what the car can do, and they are racing hard. But to be fair, we still can't call it. Like, who's going to take it? Jack's using his push to pass here down towards the left, right here. Max Edmondson now no longer has any push to pass left. Jack has one in the bag. I tell you what, this is going to be tight for the last lap.
I mean, to be fair, if I was Jack McIntyre, I wouldn't be using it. Well, he can't at the moment. It's still regenerated, so he can't use it. I wonder where he's going to use it. I reckon I'd be using it on the last corner. Literally, as soon as you get through into the last corner, back on that push to pass, and then you can get sailed through. He doesn't want to try and make the... I mean, to be fair, it doesn't matter if he actually makes the move. It's not going to matter to him, because if he's got that push to pass, he's going to get that extra horsepower advantage. It's going to push him. There he goes. There is the movement there. Who is going to be... Oh, that's going to be so close. But look at that. Rob Butler does take the victory. A storming drive from there. But I'm not too sure what happened there. I don't think Jack McIntyre actually... It's almost like his push to pass didn't work.
I could be wrong. I believe the push to pass worked, but I don't know whether Max Edmondson went to defend the line or what, but Jack Mack actually drove into the back of Max Edmondson there, so I can only presume that was a late move on the push to pass. Unfortunate for Jordan Brennan there. You can see a very, very smashed up TT with an early incident there in that race, and unfortunately I believe that means he's just going to miss out on the reverse grid as well, so not a good round from Jordan Brennan. Bear in mind he won last week out, so we can't forget about that. You know, this is a driver who can very clearly pedal a car, and unfortunately has lost out due to tech gremlins.
Yeah, very, very true. Bit of a shame there as we got Mick Sutton currently rounding out the last person to finish out on track, with Kenny Press unfortunately having a DNF. Great camera shot there. I like the picture-in-picture of the actual sort of on board, as it were. Very, very nice. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame for Brennan, but we know he's got pace. We know he has got a massive amount of pace, so in the reverse grid, yes, he is starting 15th. Do not think for a second that is where he will be finishing, providing no, again, touch wood, commentators curse, hopefully not. But yeah, if he runs a clean race, do not think for a second that will be his finishing position, because it absolutely will not be. We're just going to, in a few moments' time, grab the, we're going to be, excuse me, we're going to be grabbing the official results, but I believe I'm hearing some pinging going through. We do have some people in the broadcasting booth that we're going to be able to chat to in a second, Dave. And I believe, actually, as I say that, they are all in there, so I'll let you have a chat with them if you'd like.
Well, we'll do. We'll jump down and see what the cry is. So, I believe I'm down here now in the interview room, and we'll go to our third place finisher, Jack Mack. That definitely got a little bit, should we say, fruity in the last lap.
Yeah, that was an interesting race. I mean, I think I could have just driven off a second there, but I made a couple of really, really silly mistakes, so only myself to blame, but good to get third.
Yeah, well, I did actually wonder. I mean, we didn't see, you've dropped yourself in it a bit there, Jack, because we didn't actually see your mistakes on screen. So I presume, that's why the gap came down so much between you and Max there towards the end of the race, was it? It was just a few little driver errors that made you run wide or whatever to let Max catch up, was it?
Yeah, I was just too busy focusing on the relative behind, trying to manage the gap with the boost and everything, and I went about 50 metres past my braking point at Ascari, so I was probably lucky to only lose a second there, but yeah, it happens.
Oh well, a good 50 metres, so it's a good chunk that, but yeah, I mean, it's always difficult to race around here, isn't it? It's Monza. I mean, it's a very, for all its, really long straights and chicanes, you've got to calculate a lot, don't you? I mean, these push to passes is really, making this really quite interesting and mentally sort of frustrating for drivers, trying to figure out when to use them to the advantage.
Yeah, it's almost two races going on at the same time, really. You have to hit all your braking points and all the apexes and do all the stuff you have to do, usually, and then you've got the whole chess game of when is everyone else using their boost, when can I use mine. So it's really interesting, actually. It's something different. It's good fun.
Ah, good to hear that, Jack. So, yeah, good luck in race 2, and you've got the reverse grid, so maybe slightly harder job to do, and especially with turn 1, it sometimes gets a little bit interesting. But I'll let you get your head down, and good luck for race 2.
Cheers, Dave. Thank you.
And on our second place finisher, Max Edmondson. As I said to Jack, it was a little bit fruity, that, wasn't it? I mean, you came to that last lap with no push to passes left, Jack on 1. You were definitely feeling the pressure there.
Yeah, obviously Jack made the mistake and I caught up to him, but wasn't the cleanest race from my behalf. That's my apologies, Jack, but it was a really good race anyway, so I'm quite happy with it.
Do you have any brake pads left?
No.
me and Dan both have commented on, if there's anyone who's going to brake late, you must have 2 feet on the pedal, and you're getting it stopped. We noticed it last week, and yet again, your car seems particularly good on the brakes, and that's where your car looks really strong.
See other people brake, I brake a tiny bit later and just hope, to be honest. Yeah, my car's quite good on the brakes, but I don't think I have many brakes like that left, so.
Oh, well, I'll let you go and put in a new set of pads and I'll move on. Good luck in race 2, Max. And on our race winner. Now, the doubt was there. You did it through a glitch on the car, unfortunately, in quali, but you can't take it away from you. There was no doubt in the race, Rob. It was a well-managed race and you quite simply drove away.
Well, if there's one way to prove your speed, that's the way to do it, Dave. You know, I have to say it was, in fairness, it's about Jordan's setup that he won last week. I seen him coming to P2. I knew he probably had the speed, but yeah, once I was in control, I got that safety car restart really right, and yeah, after that, once I had the toe broken, it was just a matter of being smart with my push to pass to break away, and then, you know, knowing what was left to calculate it to have enough for the last lap. So pole, fast, questionable pole, and a race win by 10 seconds with fastest lap. I'll take that.
Cracking. Well, I know it's time's going, so I'll let you go and crack on with the race, but well done, Rob. Good luck in the
Thanks,
race.
mate. Cheers.
Simple as that, Dan. You had the pace.
Well, there we go. He had the pace. Exactly, he had the pace. And we're going to find out in a few moments if he's got the pace again. We got this grid reversal, remember. So who is going to come out on top? We're going to see in just a few moments' time. But the lights are on and away we go. Who is going to be... Oh, another pretty even start there. We're going to see some push to passes being activated in a few seconds. We're going to see the cameras... we can see the cars flying into shot from the right-hand side. We've got Dorman. That's going to be all side by side already from Dorman to Stapleford. Who is going to be... that's going to be, I think, Dorman's going to be losing out. So oh no, that's Dorman. That's gone from bad to worse from him. All the way to turn one. That's going to be a safety car. One would imagine. I'm not entirely sure.
Yes, that's a safety car.
That's a safety car. Right there we go. We've had confirmation before anyone else. As you can see, you've heard it from us first. Safety car has been deployed. Oh dear, that was definitely not. The what we should have seen. Definitely not what we would have seen from race one. Great for some people, not so great for others. Not so great for myself because now I've got to try and continue talking now, try to be everyone entertained while we wait for Dave to come back. But again, furious of tyre warming. This is what we need to make sure of, that people keep the heat in their drivers, keep the heat in the tyres. It's such an important thing. We saw it a bit more. It was one of the previous races that we had for the League of Champions. Very, very, very key to make sure we keep those heat into the tyres. I said tyre weaving definitely is a thing. You've got to try and keep some residual heat from lateral movement, as well as riding the brakes as well. So you've got to try and, what you may find is drivers may just start to ride those brakes. Only 5-10% or so. It's not going to be a lot. And the idea being is what you want to do. You want to get some heat from the brakes, push them into the actual alloy, obviously on the actual alloy of the car itself and of the wheel, and then what that does, that then heats up the carcass of the tyre itself. That heats up the rubber in the carcass of the tyre. So that provides some heat as well. So there are a couple of things you can do. It's not a lot, but it's amazing, especially cars that are quite sensitive. Cars like this front-wheel drive, the more and more heat you can get in the front, you've got to be cautious because these cars, they've got front, they'll have brake bias, obviously situated towards the front. So you've got to try and keep this, keep some heat into the rears as much as you can, as well as obviously maintaining the front. So there's got to be a bit of a balance there. Obviously, this is going to be, again, that virtual safety car. So I wonder if we are going to see, we're going to see the cars go already. I believe not yet. A little bit of weave in there. Although, as I say that, I think everyone has gone. Yes, they have indeed. So Stapleford, look at that. So he's trying to make the move. Didn't get the jump. That I believe, trying to think for the life of me, who was that was Rob Butler, who obviously got the mega jump last time, about 9/10 of a second. Stapleford, while a pretty good jump, still not quite as good. Only the gap is about half a second, or just over, in fact. Andy Dorman, a stonking race so far from him going through into lap 2. He's third. Will Fairclough is in P5. Oh, we're going to go three wide, potentially 4 wide. Going to go through. Oh, gents, 3 cars do not go into 1. Oh dear, that's not gone well. And Walters and Dorman, they've just had a bit of an incident. That's Dan Zelos as well with Will Fairclough. Oh no, his race has gone from bad to worse. But that might even be another safety car. I genuinely think that might be another safety car. There's more door-to-door action. This is what we want to see. As much as we do like touring cars and rubbing his racing and all that, then they've been a little too much rubbing his racing going through there. I don't actually know if we're going to see another safety car. We may very well do, but some more side-by-side action going through. That's Weston and Carroll, I think, with Jack McIntyre going to try and get in the mix again. 2.2 Noah's Ark style going through into the section chicane. They all managed to get through. No, they don't. And that was, I'm not too sure who that was. That was Walters and Butler. Oh dear. No, that's gone badly for Walters and Butler. So an amazing race one for Butler. It's just gone all completely wrong.
Good race wasn't for Rob first round, but not too much this. Sorry to jump back in, Dan.
That's right.
Not the safety car. Yeah, it was just a case of another virtual safety car there, wasn't it? It was all the bunch had the pack had already bunched back up, so there wasn't any need to bring it out and just let them go after it. But yeah, unfortunately, in the restart, there was another collision there. But it is what it is, isn't it? It's always down to that first chicane in Monza. It just always is frantic and busy, and we saw it again there, didn't we?
Yeah, we did indeed. It is a shame. It's one of those ones where, you can't. I suppose you've got to get to a stage where you can't keep calling safety cars, can you? You got to get to a certain stage where you've got to have people that are racing. As we see, that was Will Fairclough, I think, in the background, going off yet again. But look at that, Jordan Brennan having a much better race this time around. So he is in P5. Oh, that was going to be potentially not P5 after that, because Luke Weston nearly decided that he was going to go for a move into Parabolica. And his front bumper was going to meet the rear bumper of Brennan very, very quickly. But he does manage to sort it out, although that has allowed Jack McIntyre to go through. So look at that. Jack McIntyre is now into P6. So he's moving his way up the field very, very well indeed. And I believe as well, so Luke Weston not using his push to passes going down the start finish line, he's using the drag to try and just pull the cars along, but side by side as well. Going to go through with that is McIntyre and Weston, who is going to come up. Oh, that was a bit of contact there. A bit more contact there from Rob Butler. His race has just gone from bad to worse. He's being pinged around like the old pinball wizard going through. So that's not ideal. Like I said, his race is definitely going to go from bad to worse. But again, side by side action. This is now with McIntyre and Brennan. We know there's no love lost between these two. As much as they race fair and hard, they do want these positions, and they're going to do all they can to give it up. But, hello, and that is it. No, so again, that was McIntyre that's actually backed out. Is he going to try and do a carbon copy of what he did last time? He tries to make the move. He's done Dan Zelos. He's not quite close enough to Jordan Brennan. But again, a carbon copy. He just backs off, waits for the car to pitch into the corner. Sorry, apologies. That was Luke Weston. Apologies, not Dan Zelos. I was getting confused with the car. Dan Zelos is all the way up into P3, so I haven't actually looked at him yet, Dave. He's doing a cracking job in third place, and he's got a nice, healthy gap in front and behind him.
Yeah, I mean, Dan Zelos was, I'm trying to work out where he was he 9th on the grid, and he's got himself up into 3rd. But also, I'm noticing Jack Mark, for whatever reason, still hasn't used any of his push to passes this race. I'm interested to really find out what strategy what strategy is he on there.
Well, it's either an interesting strategy or a broken button.
He's just activated one, so we know it's definitely not.
Again, this decides to prove me wrong there, as drivers tend to do. They're always sitting with they're always decide to prove me wrong at the most not the best time in the world. Having a few little lag issues there. We're just going to go through. We're not too sure what's happening here, but I think we've just had a little bit of an issue. Apologies. We're having a few little server issues here. We're going to try and get that back as soon as possible. All seems to be sorry, apologies for that. We all seem to be okay now. So not entirely sure what happened there, but action has quite resumed very, very quickly. So we're going to have, again, that is Brown versus McIntyre yet again going through into turn 1, and that's Luke Weston behind. Not entirely sure what's going to go on with him at the moment, but his car is not faring too well. But no, that is so. Brown has now got ahead of McIntyre for this particular moment in time, although that is going to change as we see McIntyre again with, as you say, Dave, he's not using too many push to passes, is he? Which is an interesting, like I say, an interesting strategy. I'm guessing he's just trying to use the toe as much as he can at this point, and then maybe use them for this. What you think there's only 12 minutes left of the race. He's got to try and use some up at some point because he might not have a position to use them all. Which he got caught out actually on. He got caught out at Laguna Seca, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really intrigued at this actually. We seem to be going really quite long onto this race with both Luke and Jack on 13 push to passes. You know, they're just about holding there with Brennan and Andy Carroll in front, so maybe it's a tactic where they maybe found the need to boost to pass a little bit later on in the race. I don't really know why that would be. I really want to ask them about that actually, because it's really an interesting strategy. But we'll see here, obviously Lewis Brown and Jack are both on exactly the same strategy, same amount of push to pass, and they are battling hard. Jordan Brennan here having a much better race too. He's got himself up into 5th place from 13th on the grid. And to anyone wondering what we were seeing there with Luke Weston, that was just a case of, it's nothing wrong with our servers, it's just a case of a driver coming in that doesn't have the best internet connection. So maybe there's a driver on a person in his house on Netflix or something like that that's creating a bit of a slow internet.
I mean, to be fair, yeah, he's probably downloading a movie or something, but we won't dive too far into that. As we have got, so there's Jack McIntyre as well on. Sorry, I'm trying to contain. Anyway, let's move on swiftly from that. So Jack McIntyre and Jordan Brennan are going to go side by side. Who's going to be out coming first into or on the exit of turn 1, turn 2? I'm not entirely sure. To be fair, again, it's something we can't. They both used a push to pass. So to be fair, these are going to be pretty much even Stevens at this point going through into turn one. Again, it's going to be last of the late breakers. It is going to be, that's Brown that's going to go through. Is Jack McIntyre going to get the cutback? Tries to go on the outside, thinks better off it. Brown shuts the door on him, and they resume normal positions. But all the while, this is actually letting Carroll, again, he was at an absolutely stormer of a race in P4, with Brennan just a little bit behind. This is actually allowing them to go and push past ahead. Although, as I say that, Jack McIntyre, there's two side-by-sides. You've got Brennan and Carroll going to go side-by-side up into just ahead, and then you've got Jack McIntyre going to go through up the inside of Brown, and he does make the move stick this time. Brown can't quite get the cutback, but yeah, two battles in the space of, I mean, probably that's what, 100 meters, and this is so close.
Yeah,
three battles. Sorry.
You know what? This battle here, I guarantee both drivers. I don't know whether they've gotten on board from Jack here. I bet they've both got smiles on their faces there. That's exactly what drivers come into the championships like this for. That was great battling for a good 2 or 3 laps. Solid efforts in swapping places. You know, I wish I was in that car right now.
To be fair, yeah, what a cracking race, and fair, it's great for us because we've got some good commentary as well to be going for, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm just having a look as well. I say a smile from Jack McIntyre, very serious face, and he's always very serious when he's driving. He's that's his concentration face, and it's very, I mean, to be fair, he's got a lot to concentrate on because Brown's going to try and have another look going through into Parabolica for this time around. All the time as well, the gap, obviously, Brennan has now got past Carroll, we should mention, and the gap is now starting to open up. So side by side for Brown and McIntyre going to go through. Look at that. Oh, what's going to happen here? You can see Jack McIntyre just opening that wheel slightly, but he's not pushing Brown too far out wide. So again, just giving them exactly the room that he needs, no more and no less. Whoa, okay, that was interesting. Take it easy, chaps. You've still got, like I said, 9 minutes of the race left. But there's a bit of a smile. There's a bit of a smile.
There was a smile there.
There's a smile there. There's a smile for Jack McIntyre that we've seen. He's just having a quick check in his mirror to see what Brown is going to do. It's going to be some more side-by-side action. Or is it going to be role reversal this time? It isn't going to be because Jack McIntyre has been hung out to dry and he can't do much. He could not do anything about that. So look at that. Exactly the same position and almost a carbon copy of what we've seen for the last 2 laps.
You know what I think we're seeing there? If I'm honest, that frustration isn't just the fact that Jack got overtaken in that corner. It's the fact I think he's wanting to work with Lewis Brown to try and close the gap up to 5th and 4th place. I think both of them know they have the pace in the car to push forward, but because they're both battling each other, they're not moving forward. They're having to swap positions, lose lap time. So I think that's more the frustration we're seeing there rather than the fact that Jack got overtaken.
Absolutely. I'm just having we're just having a look through. We've just got in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. We've got, is that Mick Sutton, I believe? He's unfortunately had a DNF. But Mick, if you can see, give us a wave in the camera. If you can see that he's actually watching the broadcast. Look at that. This is broadcastception here. You've got the broadcast within the broadcast. That's very strange, isn't it? Yes, Luke, if you can see us, give us a little wave in the camera.
I believe that was a bit of an infinite loop, that wasn't it?
It was, wasn't it? That was pretty weird. So unfortunate DNF for him. But like I said, he's showing his support where he can. So fair play indeed. And I'm hoping he's enjoying the action that's going through. Oh, that was Will Fairclough's going to go side on 2-wheel. That's very touring carsy that we do like to see. I do love a bit of a 2-wheel action. It's always quite good fun when we see that. I think, what was it? I think Knock Hill provides probably the most of that in touring cars, isn't it, Dave?
It is indeed. Yeah, if I'm honest, Knock Hill on a simulator isn't one of my favourite tracks. But Knock Hill is Knock Hill, isn't it? But yeah, interestingly enough, I'm just looking. 4th place, Jordan Brennan. He's managed to get past Andy Carroll, and now I believe he's just done fastest lap of the race. So Jordan Brennan is definitely the one to watch here. He's got it down to 1.6 seconds on Dan Zelos. As we see, Rob Butler's now going for a move on Jack Mack. This is going to be a question of last of the late breakers. And I believe there was a slight squeeze there from Rob Butler, but it looks like Rob's got the job done. Jack will not be happy with that. I imagine the pressure is properly on now to get past.
It is absolutely. I'm just having a look through. I'm just having a look ahead. You look at Carroll, the gap is half a second from Carroll to Brown. So I wonder, because that gap is definitely going to be, because Carroll's not going to want to give up a brilliant finishing position for him at this moment in time. Like I said, he's in P5, so he's not going to want to give that without a fight. But that was Jack McIntyre going to try and come around the outside of Rob Butler. He doesn't quite do it, but is he going to get the cutback? He's going to try to. He seems to. Oh, that was a little bit. Oh, that was, I mean, a move, but that was one move going through over to the inside, so he was defending. But yeah, Jack McIntyre tried to get the cutback, couldn't quite do it that lap, so he's going to have to do that all over again. Gap ahead though, Brown and Carroll is now 0.4 of a second. So push to pass is going to play into effect here as always. But Brown has got 8 push to passes, and Carroll has actually just activated 1. He's now got 7. As I say that, Brown's decided no, he wants to prove me wrong yet again, and he's going to activate 1 as well. But yeah, Jack McIntyre, he's dropping off a little bit. I'm not too sure again. Could we see potential or some damage here? I don't think so. But we've, as we see, we just. I believe Rob Butler was actually using push to pass. That's something I didn't see. That's why he decided to just fly off into the distance. So my apologies. I did miss that. Something that I'm still actually not quite used to, and it's almost really weird. I sometimes have to remind myself, Dave, like going through, because this is the only championship that I've commentated on with cars that have push to pass. You all of a sudden see like a gap just sort of like increase about 0.3. And you're like, hang on a minute, take a step back, and then realise, oh no, wait. It is all a bit of sideways. This is Will Fairclough and Andy Dorman, so these guys have a bit of a ding-dong, even though they've not both had the best races at this moment in time, but they're still having a good race nevertheless.
Yeah, for sure. To touch on what you were saying about, these gaps that are created, it takes a bit of influence, doesn't it, from the likes of DRS and F1, or even certain GT formulas like the Le Mans style, where, they build boost up and you can use it. I think it's a great addition to this sort of racing, actually, and it really makes it, add a completely new dimension to just the standard sort of touring car formula, if you like. But I tell you what, we're seeing Will Fairclough here really battling with Andy Dorman. I believe that was probably Dorman last of the late breakers into there, and Fairclough then trying to get back around the outside of him. But looking up the grid, Jordan Brennan now is right. Actually, as I say, that has just made the pass on Dan Zelos. But not only Jordan Brennan, Lewis Brown is also on the move up the grid. Watch out for Lewis Brown.
I don't know, but he's not got long to do it. Look at the gap. He's got 4 minutes and 24 seconds left, and he hasn't got past Carroll at this moment in time. I wonder if we're going to see Luke Brown. Is he going to try and make any more? I mean, he's obviously going to try and get past Carroll, absolutely. But is he too far behind Dan Zelos to try and get by? Not too sure. We're going to find out in a moment. But yeah, look at that. Jordan Brennan is just checked out at this point. He has used a push to pass as well as Dan Zelos. So to be fair, the gap should have roughly stayed the same. Or we're going to see this is going to be the move now for P5. So is Carroll going to try and hold this position? He's going to try to as much as he can. But the position is made even before the first of the Ishikari chicanes. So Luke Brown does inherit and take P5 away from Andy Carroll. Again, nothing to say. A really cracking performance. Carroll has been holding his own absolutely fantastically. He's done a really, really good job. And he might even try and have a look back. Look at the gap. It's a 10th of a second. Oh, we're going to go through. That's going to be, obviously, to be fair, again, that was one move made by Luke Brown. Completely legal, that was. He waited for Carroll to move out and almost copied it as much as he can. So to be fair, that was completely legal. But now, again, he's got all of this, all the long straight. It's going to feel like an absolute age to him to try and get by. So I don't know if he's actually going to be able to catch him to Dan Zelos, because Carroll's just going to want to make that position back. He's going to have to go defensive, so he's going to make Carroll go around the outside, but that is going to put him on the inside of the next corner. Interesting enough, I was expecting him to go a bit of the opposite way. If Carroll can hold it around the outside of turn 1, he doesn't indeed, so he does back out. But is he going to try and let the cutback? Oh, he's going to maybe have the cutback here. He's close enough to potentially have the move. He's going to have a slipstream going down into the second chicane. So I wonder he might actually be able to do it. It's also about Luke Brown now. Which way is he going to make Carroll go? I'm guessing he's going to try and make him go around the outside, although I don't think he seems to be close enough. No, because Luke Brown used a push to pass. But actually, with the push to pass being used, the person behind would do it with that draft, it doesn't really make that much difference.
No, it doesn't, and we were saying this before, that slipstream effect, it's like, it's probably about the same as the push to pass. A push to pass we know adds about 50 horsepower, so realistically, that tour, that slipstream, is worth probably about 50 horsepower, so this is probably why we're seeing here, I noticed this battle between Rob Butler and Jack Mack. We're seeing Rob Butler's used 3 push to passes, Jack Mack's still got 6 behind, and he's not using them as frequent. He's just hanging in Rob Butler's draft there, maybe stacking them up really for a last lap push where he can use 3 or 4 of them on one lap and really try and get Rob Butler on the last lap.
Well, to be fair, he could very well do. We're going to see, we haven't got very long to see, but there's that 1 minute 45 seconds left on the clock. And we're going to see, look at Andy Carroll, look at the rearview mirror, it's just filled with the TT of Rob Butler. It's just filled with to be fair, that's one thing I was going to ask, Dave. Is that your face on top of Rob Butler's car?
If it is out, it'll be fair funny.
Was it? Because if it is, you need to claim royalties for that. Because if he's using it without permission, you need to claim some royalties from Rob Butler there.
Oh, without doubt, there will have to be some payment through royalties to put my face on it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so actually, we were talking there about Andy Carroll. I'm actually really impressed to see this at the moment. You know, Andy Carroll's running up in 7th place at the moment, battling with Jack Mack. He's really holding his own against the very top drivers here. So it's great to see Andy doing so well here. As he challenges Jack, is he going to try and go around the outside? He is. He's forcing Jack Mack wide. He's going to go defensive on exit. Great defensive driving there by Andy Carroll.
Go on, Andy. Absolutely. What cracking stuff that was. That was absolutely fantastic. Although we have got Jack McIntyre's going to use a push to pass, but Andy Carroll uses one a bit later, so he's going to get the jump for the last few seconds. Going into the second chicane, who's going to be out on top? It's going to be last of the late breakers, and I wonder Jack is going to be braking very, very late indeed. Is he going to be close enough? No, he has to pull back in, so he hasn't yet made the move. So Andy Carroll is really on. As we can see, look at that. Look at that bottom left-hand corner. There you go, Dave. There is your face there.
It is indeed. Yeah. He's gone and put all of our faces on top of the roof. There's some characters in the world, isn't there? But not quite like Rob Butler.
Oh dear. Well, there we go. Fair play. I said royalties definitely need to be had there. But back to the racing. Sorry, that's really distracted me. But yeah, I think as well, Andy Carroll, he has unfortunately lost out that position now to Jack McIntyre. But yeah, I mean, what a cracking defensive move. He was not giving up that position. This is really good to see. You're seeing, and again, this is nice actually, me being a part of VRRC for multiple championships, multiple series, you know, obviously League of Champions. Well, that was a bit wide there from Rob Butler, so he's going to go very wide indeed.
That was a bit Colin McRae, that wasn't it?
That was a bit that was wet line, I think that was going through. But yeah, I think it's really good to see all these drivers sort of develop and all the driving style develop and really the drivers really developing as a whole. And you can see that going through the different series and different championships. So it's fantastic to see. And yeah, Andy Carroll is really definitely one of the best performances that I've seen from Andy Carroll. Absolutely fantastic stuff. But look at that. We are on the last lap. You can see at the top of your screen, just either side of the race logo there. You've got the white flag, or as it would be there. So last lap for Stapleford. He is in the lead by 3.5 seconds. So similar to Butler for race 1. We haven't seen him at all because there's not really much to see because he's just been running his own race, which again is absolutely fantastic for him, obviously. But that means no screen time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually looking here at the timing screens, and he has actually also done the fastest lap. So I think he's actually saved his push to passes towards the end. He's really trying to open up now towards the end of the race. But yeah, as you said, we haven't really focused on Robbie Stapleford. It's been a very undramatic race for him, hasn't it? You know, he'd made a good restart. He drove away, and you know, it's another flawless race by him. You know, he's gonna touch wood. I don't want the commentator's curse on the last lap here, but you know, he's drove a great race and he's on for the win. Not to take it away, Max Edmondson yet again in second place, you know, after a reverse grid, and Jordan Brennan equally, you know, 13th starting in race 2, and he's got himself up to 3rd place, and Dan Zelos consistent 4th place. So, you know, we're really seeing some really high standard of driving here, and some great finishes.
We are indeed, absolutely. I'm just having a look. Look at the gap. Luke Brown to Dan Zelos, the gap is 3/10 of a second, but this is the battle that's going to be raging on here. All bit of side-by-side action for the two up ahead, but last late breakers, and that was Rob Butler that time around, but he's going to definitely go wide. He's definitely compromised the line. Yeah, you can see that he's definitely compromised the line. That's going to open the door potentially for Jack McIntyre. So who's going to be coming out onto the last lap? Again, Jack McIntyre, look exactly the same as he did last lap. He's got that one more push to pass, but Robbie Stapleford, what a drive from him. Dominance, absolutely, for race 2. As you can see at the bottom right corner of your screen, we're just going to quickly dart wheel that Robbie Stapleford. Amazing win for race 2. Absolutely fantastic. Fair play to him. But look at that side by side for Jack McIntyre, and that is going to be Rob Butler. He's used the push to pass, but again, he couldn't quite make use of it. That was a bit naughty from Rob Butler. That was a bit of lastminute.com in terms of defending position. Oh my God, who actually got it? It was Jack No, it wasn't. It was Butler. It was Butler. And look at that. Look at Lewis Brown to Dan Zelos. The gap was 0.05 of a second. What on earth?
That is phenomenal, isn't it? I mean, I think that's probably the closest result we've had there. But that just shows, you know, these cars are absolutely fantastic to drive, you know. So anyone who's watching this and goes, that's a bit of me, I want to be involved in that, just get in touch with VRRC, because, you know, these cars, until you drive them, they are absolutely fantastic, and it's definitely a series to be a part of.
Absolutely, would definitely echo that. I'm yet to actually drive in a VRRC event, but if I do get the opportunity, I'm definitely on the grid because I can't wait. But at the same time, commentating absolutely as enjoyable for me, 100%. But look at that provisional race results here. So Robbie Stapleford again with that dominant drive does take the win. Brennan P2, what a stellar drive from him. He actually got past Max Edmondson, which, interesting enough, I didn't actually know. I didn't realise that Jordan Brennan got past Edmondson. So he takes P2. From 13th on the grid, that's very, very impressive indeed. Edmondson P3, Zelos 4th, Brown 5th, Butler 6th, McIntyre 7th, Carroll 8th, Andreas Rillick 9th, Luke Weston in P10, Andy Dorman 11th, Robin Walters 12th, and Paul Laramie in 13th place. Good racing all round, some good battles all round as well, is what we like to see. But we also do have some drivers in the commentary box, so the podium guys, podium champs for race 2. So Dave, if you want to have a chat with them.
Yeah, we'll jump down. We jumped to our P3 guy. It was going to be Jordan Brennan at the last lap, but I believe that was probably a bit of team help there, unless if there was a certain excursion off track I missed. But Max Edmondson, I still can't take it away. That drive you did from a reverse grid to be P3 at the end, you must be happy with that.
Yeah, it's quite a good race, to be honest. Had a bit of an incident at the start. I think it was 3 wide in the turn 1. The left car was going to the right and the right car was going to the left, so now I got sandwiched. Didn't end well, but points mean more to Jordan than they do to me, so I might as well just help the teammate out.
Well, that's awfully nice of you, and it shows real camaraderie there for the team. So fair play to you for giving up the position, but it is what it is, and I can't take it away that the drive was still great from the reverse grid as well. So stellar drive there, Max, and if that continues in the further leagues, then we're definitely going to see you as a front runner, if not the winner of championships.
Yeah, true. Hopefully, let's carry that on.
And on to our P2 guy. Race 1 wasn't quite what you wanted, was it, Jordan? Ended up with I believe it was maybe a collision with Robbie Stapleford on the opening laps, which dropped you right off the back of the pack. But made it up for in race 2 by coming from 13th to 2nd on the grid. Stellar drive.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks. Race 1, I just had a massive target on my back, apparently. But, yeah, race 2 was alright.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame to hear that you had contact in race 1, but to try and get through, another 11 cars in front of you in race 2 and get through with, I believe, you were the cleanest car. I don't think there was really any panels missing on your car in race 2. So, yeah, great drive there, Jordan, and hopefully that's looking okay for you now in the championship.
Cheers, thanks.
And on our race 2 winner, Robbie Stapleford. Unfortunately, he didn't get that much screen time, but that's because he didn't really do anything wrong. He just quite simply drove away as Rob did in race 1. I'd say it was quite dramatic up front, was it?
Yeah, just don't know what happened after the safety car restart, but everybody just spun or whatever, and then just got a gap, and then just tried maintaining the gap to Edmondson, and then just left some pushed passes towards the end of the lap, and then went for fastest lap. So.
Yeah, we noticed that actually. You had, really quite a lot of push to passes left at the end. But how was it trying to push for fastest lap with, tyres that were, quite considerably worn? Because we noticed you still managed to get into the 59s, I believe.
It was actually quite alright. The tyres weren't going off that much, so I still had some good grip. And then I just knew I had the pace without the push to pass, so I just kept it and got fastest lap when I needed it.
Well, it's all about putting together the race, and it was an extremely calculated drive by you, Robbie. So, well done on the victory, and yeah, looking forward to seeing what you do in Paul Ricard in the next round.
Yeah, thank you.
Champion. And there we go, Dan.
And there we go indeed. What a round. It was definitely more, I think it was more action-packed, especially at turn 1 than last week. But no, really, really good nevertheless. Really good nevertheless. And it was just, as always, just fantastic to see. These cars just produce some amazing racing.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think there was quite a few more body panels needed to be replaced after today's racing. But on the whole, you know what? The action was mega. The cars never disappoint with that push to pass. It makes our job incredibly interesting. We never quite tell who's going to be in what position on what lap. And as we see, Paul Ricard for the next round, yet again, look at them straights. This is where this car is really going to excel.
It is indeed. This is actually the straight as well. You've got the chicane halfway through as well. So this is I believe this is the Formula One layout. So Paul Ricard, definitely an interesting track to say the least. And it's going to provide some good races. It's got a bit of everything again, similar to Monza, but there's sort of like smaller, tighter complexes, especially the latter half of the lap as well. You've got those medium speed corners. We're going to see a lot of sort of car control. Might even see some of the people sort of. There's going to be loads of different driving styles going through into that last section. So I'm looking forward to see how these cars handle it.
Yeah, for sure. It's not really a track I'm that over familiar with. It's a relatively new track to me, but looking at the layouts, and I have driven it on a handful of times. These cars, that track, it's going to be an equally good formula as Monza. So really look forward to it.
Absolutely, indeed. But we're going to have to shoot off, unfortunately. We are going to have to wrap it up. But I would like to say as well, Dave, you just touched on it before. We're going to go through again, just make sure, if people want to start racing with VRRC, how should they best contact you?
Get in touch with VRRC either on Facebook or join the Discord and join the community. You can get in touch with us that way. And also there's a what's on regarding of up and coming championships or active calendars. So feel free to join it. Get in touch. It's a mega community to be a part of.
Absolutely. It's been absolutely fantastic and a pleasure as always. But yes, I'm looking forward to next week. No end. I hope you are too. Thank you, everyone, for sticking around and tuning in with us. It's been absolutely fantastic. As always, thank you very much to Mike Yao on the broadcast side as well for providing some fantastic camera angles, some fantastic racing, and all the action there so we can make sure we provide the best commentary possible. But until next time, everyone, do make sure you take care and stay safe.
The inside of Coates.
Parker gets too heavily involved.
And that's Whitehead and Coates.